Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to another video on the channel. What I've got for you today is the preview video going into Game Week 32. I'm going to take a review of how my team did in Game Week 31. Then I'm going to talk team selection, transfer advice and captaincy options moving forward. And I've also got the assistant manager chip in play, so I'll be discussing who I'll be going for that as well. And hopefully it'll help you out with your own thoughts if you're also looking to play that chip. If you're looking for general transfer advice or a wildcard strategy, go check out my latest wildcard video as well. Link will be in the description and at the end of the video. And if you are new around here, please do subscribe. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. We're trying to get to 350 subscribers by the end of the season, which for a small channel trying to grow is a cool milestone. So any help would be appreciated. So let's take a look at how my team did in Game Week 31. And in goal, it wasn't great. You know, Raya conceded that penalty to Everton, and at the time I'm thinking, oh my days, Raya is going to save a penalty and this is going to really kick off my comeback game week. And it wasn't to be, but the fact that they didn't concede from open play with Gabriel now out injured for the rest of the season is a good sign. You know, the fact that they're able to defend consistently means that with the double coming up in 33, I would like to think that in the next 2 game weeks, he can keep 2 out of 3 clean sheets. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but there's no way I'm going to transfer him out, especially after I've just wildcarded. So in defence, it was a lot better. Forget about Canate's 1 point against Fulham. Gvardiol with 9 points, Munoz with 8 points is both fantastic. Munoz because he had that goal, Gvardiol because he got a clean sheet and 3 bonus points. And the good thing about having Gvardiol at the moment is because Nunes and O'Reilly are playing in defence for Man City, in FPL, they're listed as midfielders. So when they keep a clean sheet, they're not in contention for those bonus points. It's really between Gvardiol, Ruben Dias and Ederson for those clean sheet bonus points. Now, Ederson's not making many saves just from how Man City play. So it really does increase Gvardiol's chances of getting a few extra points here and there compared to if he was playing at left back and you had, say, John Stones at centre back and Rico Lewis at right back. They'd have a lot more points to potentially share out. So it's just a nice little plus to know that if you're owning Gvardiol, you've got that extra chance of a couple more points. Now, in midfield, there was absolutely nothing going on until last night when Jacob Murphy scored 2 goals in 11 minutes. And at that point, I'm thinking, oh my days, he's going to get an absolute ton of points here. We could be on for over 20 points. And it wasn't to be. Not that I'm complaining, because I will absolutely take 2 goals from your midfielder no matter how it comes. And I've been talking about him for a while now, so it's really nice to get him in on my wild card and just have him hit the ground running straight away. Salah blanked, which a lot of people captained Salah, and after Sunday I was loving life because I was thinking, right, as long as Isak plays against Leicester City, I will take that right now, because I'd captained Isak and he wasn't injured out. I just wanted that chance to get some attacking returns, even though it didn't happen for him. It's not like I lost anything, because so many people captained Salah as well. They essentially just got the same amount of points, and then you're looking at your other players like your Jacob Murphys, your Munoz, your Matetas to get you those points that will put you above. So I wasn't too gutted that I didn't captain Jacob Murphy. I was happy that I captained Isak. And captaining the last player in a game week is also quite good, because you can stay positive on it for a little bit longer. Whereas if I'd captained Salah and he blanked, I would have been a little bit worried about what Isak would do against Leicester. So obviously you run the risk of Salah performing, but I think because Isak played Leicester City, it was just worth the risk. And, you know, had Jacob Murphy's points as well. Mateta got a goal, which is always appreciated in FPL, and I ended up with 54 points and a green arrow of about 130, 140k, which gives me real hope that, you know, now I've still got some chips left, I could potentially string a run of results together and really try and kick on to the end of the season. And it just goes to show as well that the point spread is still so small. So of course I can still drop down the ranks, but if you're struggling with your FPL team at the moment, you know, there's some double game weeks coming up. You've probably still got your free hit as well. Maybe you've got like the assistant manager chip like me, and you've just got a load of avenues to potentially get points and really kick on. So the point spread between FPL managers is smaller than it's ever been. So don't worry, you know, just treat this last few game weeks as a bit of a mini season and see how far you can get from now. You know, forget about your overall rank. Try and judge it by where you started, maybe this week or last week, and then where you finish by game week 38, and just see how many places you can get. So in terms of fixtures for this game week, there's quite a lot of good single game week captaincy options. You know, you've got Liverpool at home to West Ham, you've got Chelsea at home to Ipswich. Both of those are fantastic fixtures. You've also got teams like Brighton playing Leicester, you know, and you know, Fulham and Bournemouth. That could be an interesting game that could go either way from an attacking point of view. But I do think if you are going to be captaining anybody, it probably has to be a double game week player. Now that gives you Crystal Palace options and Newcastle options. So who would I be captaining from there? Because I actually own players from both teams. I wouldn't be captaining a defender, that's for sure. I know Munoz has some good attacking threat, but the fact that Palace are away for both games, it just makes me think, are they going to keep any clean sheets? Probably not. You know, if you captain Munoz, I would not hate it if they did keep clean sheets, because you deserve those clean sheet points for that captaincy choice. But I just wouldn't rely on a defender to get you attacking returns for the captaincy. I think it's nice to have anyway in your team, but I just wouldn't risk it when there's other good double game week options. In terms of the Palace midfielders, maybe I think I'd captain Eze over Sarr just for the consistency. I think Sarr's one of those players who could get you the big hauls, but Eze is someone who's going to keep your points ticking over, which I think is what you want in a double game week. Because they're playing twice, you just want that consistency across both. I'd be captaining Mateta out of the Palace options just because I think he's in good form, and Nketiah's suspended for the Man City game, which means that he's probably going to play 90 minutes in that, and it just gives him more chance of getting those attacking returns the longer he's on the pitch. I think I would be captaining a Newcastle player above anybody else. After Jacob Murphy's 2 goals, there's probably people who are thinking, oh, I'll captain Jacob Murphy. I would just stick to Isak. I think he's just the best option. I wouldn't captain a Newcastle defender. If you wanted to vice captain Murphy, maybe, but I think it is a little bit risky captaining the same player and vice captaining the same player from the same team, because, you know, in the past we've had games that have been suspended or they've been cancelled for things like COVID or transport issues or the weather, and although they're unlikely, I do think it's probably worth just spreading your captain and vice captain across 2 different teams, because you never know, right? And if that does happen, and for some reason Newcastle does have both games cancelled, you know, or Isak suspended, or injured in one, and then just, you know, doesn't play in the other for whatever reason, it's just good to have a bit of a backup. So that would be my thoughts. I would captain Isak first and foremost, and then I'd maybe, you know, vice captain Mateta. So in terms of my team moving forward, it's not too bad. I mean, you would hope that it would be okay considering I wildcarded last game week. I have 2 free transfers in the bank, and I do want to roll one for my, you know, overall strategy picture. If I used one this week, then it would kind of cancel out my strategy. So I'm happy with the team moving forward. I've got, you know, 2 Man City, 2 Arsenal, 2 Palace, 2 Newcastle, 2 Liverpool, 2 Forest, and 2 Wolves. And the reason that I've got that is because I wanted a space free for my assistant manager, and I wanted the flexibility to kind of go with whatever team I wanted dependent on the fixtures. So with that in mind, the current strategy, I've wildcarded in 31, and I will be using my assistant manager in this game week. Now from then, it's also about the free hit and the bench boost, and I'm really just going to play my bench boost whenever my bench looks good. I obviously can't play it in the next 3 game weeks because of the assistant manager chip in play, but I think for my advice, if you still have your bench boost, people are saying, oh, play it in a double game week. Well, that's great if your bench are also doubling, but if your bench aren't doubling, you could just essentially just play it in any single game week, really. So I look at my bench, and if I saw that and thought, oh, I'd be happy to start them, you know, they've got good fixtures, I've got a bit of a benching headache this game week, just play your bench boost now. You know, there's so few weeks left in the season, you're not really going to get that perfect game week. And how many times do you look at your bench, think they're not going to score, and then they turn out to have some massive returns? So that would be my advice for bench boost. In terms of free hit, I'm really just going to see how it goes in terms of the rest of the season, and if there's a double or a blank game week where I've either got a lot of players not doubling or quite a few players blanking, I'll just play it in that just to make sure that I get the most out of it. Because I've wildcarded, and with my wildcard, I kind of plan to go through blank game week 34 without needing to take my free hit. I've still got that available. So in terms of assistant manager, where am I going to go now? Well, there's two options and they're pretty obvious. I've either got Glasner or I've got Eddie Howe. Now, for me, Glasner is the upside pick, but he's only an upside manager if he gets results. If he loses to Man City and Newcastle both away, you don't get any points. Sure, you might get a goal point here and there if they manage to score, but the upside for Glasner is dependent on if they draw or win, and I just don't want to back it. Like, I can have two ways of looking at this, where I think, well, if I don't get any points anyway, I never would have had the assistant manager chip in previous seasons. I should just go for it, and the upside is, he gets like 40 points in a single game week, and then I also don't have to transfer him out and just use him again for back-to-back doubles. But I think I'm at the stage now where I just want as many points as I can get consistently, and those guaranteed points are just worth it. So I am leaning towards Eddie Howe. I do have 1.5 million in the bank spare for him, because I think the fact that he's got both games at home is really good, and they beat Leicester 3-0 and he got 11 points for that game. So I think, well, if they beat Man United and Crystal Palace 2-0 apiece, that'd be really good. That's 20 points for a single game week anyway, and that's the sort of points you'd get if you backed a table bonus manager in any single game week. So Man United aren't scoring loads, and it's not completely impossible. I think Newcastle have kept a clean sheet a bit more regularly recently, so to keep a clean sheet against Crystal Palace is also there. And then I'll look at probably using a free transfer on Eddie Howe to bring in someone like Arteta for double game week 33, and then I might just go for a table bonus game in blank game week 34 and just have one of my 3 game weeks where I go for it. So that will use some free transfers. Because I've also got 2 free transfers in the bank, I'll also be able to transfer out my Crystal Palace players before game week 34 and get in some players who will play in the blank game week to give me 11 players as well. So let me know what you're doing, if you're using the assistant manager chip, or if you're using any chips right now. If you've got any questions about your own team, or if you've got any aims for your rank, go check out my latest wildcard video as well. Hopefully it'll help you with your own transfer thoughts moving forward. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.